I used to think being the responsible one meant safety. Like, if you kept showing up, kept saying yes, people would protect you, appreciate you. Turns out it just makes you invisible and replaceable. My name's Sharon, I'm 41, and I live just outside Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm a high school English teacher, single, no kids, no drama, at least not the kind you'd see from the outside. Most of my adult life, I've been quietly holding my family together behind the scenes. When my dad's knees gave out 5 years ago, I dipped into my savings to build him a ramp. When their furnace died in the middle of winter, I was the one on the phone with the repair guy while my mom cried in the background. And last year, when they needed a safer car, I co-signed the loan and covered the down payment. Not because they asked, just because I knew they wouldn't be able to do it alone. So imagine this. It's a Monday afternoon. I swing by their house after work to help Dad with some Medicare paperwork. Same old, same old. Their dining room still smells like lemon cleaner, and the same faded lace curtains still flutter in the breeze. After sorting through a pile of envelopes and expired prescriptions, Dad mentioned something about a file box he thinks he left in the garage. I offer to go grab it, easy enough. But when I open the garage door, I stop cold. Inside is a brand new Nissan Rogue, freshly waxed, temporary plates still on. I blink. Hard. I know that car. I recognize the color, the trim. It's the exact car I helped pick out at the dealership last summer. I thought it was for Dad. That's what they told me. I walk closer, heart starting to thump, and there it is, lying on the dash in plain sight. The registration. Name, Kyle Bennett. My brother. Let me back up. Kyle is 35, my younger brother by 6 years. He moved back from California 3 months ago after, quote, corporate layoffs. He's charming in a broken-in jeans and second chance kind of way. The kind of guy who can bomb an interview and still get invited to drinks after. Since coming back, he's been figuring things out from my parents' guest room. And apparently collecting gifts I paid for. I grab the registration through the cracked window, walk back inside like I'm floating. Mom's in the kitchen making banana bread, humming along to Fleetwood Mac like it's 1982. She looks up, smiles real big. Find it? I hold up the paper. Whose name is on this car? She freezes, mid-stir, wipes her hands slowly on a dish towel. Kyle's, she says, soft like it's not a bomb she just dropped. Why didn't you tell me? She sighs, then shrugs, like she's already forgiven herself. Honey, Kyle's had a rough year. You're the stable one. We figured you'd understand. Understand. That word again. Understand why my name is nowhere on the deed, the car, the conversations. Understand why the one who pays always has to clap from the sidelines. I don't yell. I don't cry. I just place the registration on the counter and leave. Out on the porch, the same porch I paid to have redone after it started sagging, I sit down and feel my body finally catch up to what my brain already knows. I've been used. Silently. Systematically. And the worst part is, they truly believe it's okay. That night, I lie awake in my own apartment, staring at the ceiling. The silence feels loud. And then I realize something that sends a shiver straight through my chest. If I hadn't opened that garage door, they never would have told me. But here's the part that still knocks the wind out of me. The next day, Kyle drove that same car to a job interview, wearing my father's watch, and called it his fresh start. And that was just the beginning. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't always come with shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes it shows up in polite applause. That Friday, just 4 days after I found out my brother Kyle had been gifted the car I paid for, Mom texted me. Dinner at 6, just the usual crew. No mention of the car. No mention of the paper I left on the counter like a quiet scream. Just the smiley face, like nothing had cracked. I almost didn't go. But I did. I showed up. Because that's what I do. The second I stepped into my parents' house, something felt off. The living room was unusually tidy. There were more folding chairs than usual and a weirdly festive energy in the air. Like someone had something to celebrate but forgot to mention it to me. Then I saw it. A cheap plastic banner hung above the fireplace. Cheers to new beginnings. And under it, my brother Kyle, beaming like he just won a prize he didn't earn. He stood in the center of the room, holding a craft beer in one hand and my dad's old watch on his wrist. The same one Dad hadn't worn in years, but never offered to me. Kyle looked like he was playing the part of reborn man, and the whole room was buying it. Mom motioned me into the dining room. Surprise. We just wanted to toast Kyle's fresh start. He got a second interview today. I blinked. A fresh start you paid for with my money. She ignored it. Or maybe she genuinely didn't register the weight of what I said. Come on, Sharon. Just be happy for him. So I sat, at the far end of the table. Dinner unfolded like a sitcom, only I wasn't laughing. Neighbors I hadn't seen in years clinked glasses. My Aunt Jean leaned across the table to tell me how inspiring Kyle's story was. Mom gushed about how hard he's been trying. And Dad, he mostly chewed and nodded like he wasn't part of any of it. I sat there, biting into overcooked roast chicken, while the same people I'd bailed out, covered for, and kept warm in winter clapped for the comeback kid. No one mentioned that the house they sat in still had an HVAC system I financed. No one mentioned the months I silently paid the electric bill when Dad was out of work. Then came the speech. Kyle stood, cleared his throat, and raised his glass. I just want to say, this house, this family, this love, it brought me back to life. You guys never gave up on me. Applause, tears, cheers. I sat frozen, fork still in my hand. I wanted to scream, "You never gave up on him?" That's rich. I was the one quietly holding this place together while you all kept pretending he'd grow up on his own. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep inside, I already knew the rules. In this family, the louder the pain, the less it's heard. Instead, I stood, calmly, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and leaned against the counter. That's when I saw it. A file folder on the edge of the kitchen table. Open. Familiar font on the top page. I leaned in, and my stomach dropped. Inside was a full medical expense summary. A spreadsheet. Color-coded, perfectly formatted. My formatting. I knew it because I created it, 6 months ago, during Dad's recovery. Only now at the bottom of the page was a name in bold, prepared by Kyle Bennett. I stood there, holding the paper like it burned. Not only had they given him the car, the celebration, the applause. They gave him my work, my contributions, my credit. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I took a photo of the spreadsheet with my phone. Then I slipped it back into the folder and walked out onto the porch. I stood there in the dark, the cool night air brushing against my skin, and realized I hadn't just been erased. I'd been replaced. And they weren't even trying to hide it anymore. I wish I could say I walked away that night, slammed a metaphorical door, and never looked back. But real life isn't like that. It's not just one betrayal. It's 1,000 tiny ones that wear you down until you forget where your edges used to be. The next morning, I woke up in a daze. My phone buzzed just as I poured my coffee. It was a new email from Mom. Subject: insurance stuff, urgent. Attached was a spreadsheet. I didn't even have to open it to know what it was. I'd made that spreadsheet 6 months ago, when Dad's physical therapy costs doubled and the insurance didn't cover half of it. I stayed up late every night for a week, comparing plans, running scenarios, organizing deductibles. I opened the attachment anyway, hoping, stupidly, it'd be something else. Same formatting, same font color, same formulas. But one thing had changed. Prepared by Kyle Bennett. I just stood there in my kitchen, barefoot, in my old high school hoodie, holding the mug like it was the only thing keeping me tethered to the ground. It's one thing to be overlooked. It's another to be edited out. I called Mom. She answered quick, chipper like always. "Did you see the doc?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Do you realize that's my spreadsheet?" Silence. Then, in a voice as soft and practiced as a nurse explaining a bad diagnosis, "Kyle's just not as detail-oriented as you are. We figured it'd help his confidence if he had something to show. Show. My work. My brain. My nights spent over the kitchen table. And now it was his portfolio booster? Let him have the win, she added, like she was offering me a spoonful of grace. Let him take credit for what I did? I said, not even trying to hide the crack in my voice. You're good at this stuff, Sharon. You don't need recognition. I hung up. Not to be rude, because I had nothing left to say that wouldn't shatter the glass I was holding. That night, I went back through my files. Every receipt, every statement, every email I'd ever sent my parents. I wasn't planning a fight. I was gathering proof for myself. Because gaslighting doesn't always sound like shouting. Sometimes it sounds like, you're overreacting. Or worse, you don't need the credit. 3 days passed. No call. No apology. Just a Venmo request from Mom. Split Kyle's insurance deductible, $187.50. No message. No emoji, just the charge. I didn't accept. I didn't decline either. I left it sitting there like a sore tooth I refused to touch. But the kicker came that Friday. I was in the school office between classes when my phone buzzed again. A voicemail. Unknown number. I hit play. Hi, Ms. Bennett. This is Carrie from First Star Credit Union. We're reaching out regarding an overdraft on your joint account ending in 4492. It's currently negative $4,126 due to a charge from South Valley Imaging Associates. I stopped breathing. That was an old account. One I'd opened over a decade ago to help my parents consolidate their bills. We never formally closed it because I might need to co-sign something again. But I hadn't used it in years, and now they'd run it into the red, without even asking. I drove straight to the branch near school. I walked in like I was on autopilot, handed over my ID, and said, I need my name off that account. Today. The teller was kind, middle-aged, and quiet. As she processed the request, she glanced at the screen, then looked back at me. You've been on this account since 2011, she said gently. I nodded. You've covered almost every payment on it since then. It took 45 minutes. Forms, notarizations, a final signature. But when I walked out, my name was no longer tethered to that debt. I sat in my car, turned the engine on, and just stared ahead. Too tired to feel angry. And then my phone buzzed. Text from Kyle. That was dramatic, Sharon. Just 5 words, no punctuation. And it hit me harder than the overdraft. Because even after everything, he still thought I was the problem. He used my work, my money, my silence. And now, my reaction to the fallout? That's what made me dramatic. I didn't reply. But I did open a new folder on my desktop that night. Title, Documentation, in case they rewrite the story. And I wasn't done writing. Some betrayals feel like a punch to the gut. Others feel like a paper cut that never heals. Until one day you finally bleed. The day after Kyle sent that text, that was dramatic, Sharon. I woke up with a different kind of tired. Not burnout, not depression. Just a quiet, seething clarity. That text sat in my notifications like a dare. So I took it personally. I made coffee, sat down at my kitchen table, and opened the folder I'd started the night before. I renamed it Evidence of Absence. Then I began uploading. Mortgage payments, utility transfers, medical reimbursements I never got, emails, spreadsheets, even screenshots of text threads where Mom asked me to send $350 if you can, just until Friday. Every single receipt that proved I wasn't just the dramatic one, I was the one they depended on. It was petty, I won't lie. But it was also necessary. Because if I didn't write the truth down, I knew they'd rewrite it for me. That afternoon, I got a call from Mom. I almost didn't answer. But muscle memory is a stubborn thing. Her voice was overly cheerful. Hey, sweetheart. So, Kyle's thinking about leasing a car. Just something small to get him to interviews. I didn't say anything. She kept going. The credit union says he needs a cosigner. We figured maybe you could, you know, help out? I stared at the floor. Same voice she used when asking me to just float the utility bill this once, 5 years ago. I asked, calm and slow, "You want me to co-sign a car loan for the brother who just moved into a house I helped pay for, using a spreadsheet I created, with his name on it?" There was a pause. Then she sighed like I was the one making things difficult. "Sharon, don't make this about the house. We all help in different ways. You're good with numbers. Kyle has people skills." That nearly made me laugh, but I didn't. I said, "Tell him to ask someone else," and I hung up. I didn't yell, didn't curse, just clicked off. But it wasn't over, because the next morning I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 30 minutes later, same number again. This time I picked up. "Hi, Ms. Bennett. This is Kathy from Hill Valley Credit Union. We're reaching out about a joint account that's gone into overdraft. Your name is still listed as an authorized party." My jaw clenched. "What account?" She gave me the number. I recognized it like a ghost. It was the emergency fund account I opened 10 years ago, back when Dad was laid off and Mom was too proud to ask for help. We hadn't used it in years. At least I hadn't. "There was a transaction for $4,126 to Texas Imaging Associates," she said. "Medical charges." I whispered, "I never authorized that." "I understand," she said, almost sympathetically. "But unless we remove your name, you're liable." I hung up, grabbed my bag, and drove straight to the branch near my work. No appointment. No hesitation. It took 40 minutes of paperwork, but when I walked out, I was finally free of every shared dollar, every quiet assumption, every guilt-laced obligation. That night, I sat at my laptop and drafted an email. Short, director. Subject, termination of financial association attached. A notarized letter scanned and signed. Effective immediately, I withdraw from all financial associations, formal or informal, related to Gordon, Lorraine, or Kyle Bennett. This includes, but is not limited to, bank accounts, property titles, credit arrangements, insurance, vehicle loans. Do not use my name. Do not forward me bills. Do not assume consent or connection. This is not a request. This is a boundary. I CC'd the family's attorney, my accountant, myself. Then I hit send. No response that night. None the next morning. But around noon, I opened my mailbox and found an envelope. No return address. Inside was a blank check. No signature. No note. Just a blank check with my parents' joint account printed in the corner. You know what blank checks say? They don't say sorry. They say, "We expect you to fix it." Again. They say, "We crossed a line, but here's a bribe." They say, "You're still the one we think will show up." But I didn't cash it. I didn't rip it either. I just folded it once, placed it into the folder labeled Evidence of Absence, and locked it shut. And then, just as I was pouring tea and trying to breathe for the first time in days, I got tagged in a post. Local news. Youngest daughter's sacrifices keep family afloat during medical crisis. Kyle, smiling in front of the house. My house. Quotes from Mom and Dad praising his selfless support. Phrases like, took charge, managed everything, held the family together. Not one mention of me. Not one word. They didn't just erase me. They replaced me after the article came out. Kyle's smug face plastered across my screen under a headline that may as well have said, "Local parasite gets a makeover." I didn't cry. I didn't even scream. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because something inside me finally snapped into place. They didn't just take my effort. They built a narrative on top of my silence and expected me to stand there clapping in the shadows. But they forgot something. I document everything. That night, I opened the folder I'd been building for weeks. Evidence of Absence. I took a deep breath and pulled up a blank email. To The family attorney who once handled Dad's pension. CC. My own lawyer, my accountant, and, just for the record, myself. Subject. Estate discrepancy. Records attached body. For documentation purposes only. Please keep this on file for future reference. No further action required at this time. I attached. Full mortgage payment history under my name. Screenshots of wire transfers to cover medical costs. The original spreadsheet I created, watermarked with my initials and timestamp. The revised will Dad signed 3 years ago, where my name was still listed as primary beneficiary before Kyle moved back. Then I hit send, and I closed the laptop. I didn't do it to blow things up. I did it to preserve the truth somewhere outside my own body. But the explosion came anyway. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with 3 missed calls. Dad, Mom, Kyle. Then a message from Mom. Why would you do this to your own family? No apology. No accountability. Just panic. I ignored it. That weekend, I stopped by the house one last time. I wasn't there to talk. I was there to retrieve a folder I'd left in the kitchen drawer, some maintenance invoices I'd paid out of pocket and never submitted for reimbursement. Kyle's car was parked in the driveway, back bumper half hanging like a bad metaphor. There was a moving van in front. I stood across the street for a while before I noticed him on the porch, talking to a delivery guy. I couldn't hear what he said, but I saw the guy shake his head and walk back to the truck. Turns out, Kyle had tried to refinance the house under his name. The problem? The credit score boost from mortgage history was mine. He didn't qualify without me. Turns out, telling a public lie has consequences when the paperwork says otherwise. A week later, the house was listed on the county website. Charming fixer-upper, motivated seller. The porch still had the swing I rebuilt, but the light was off. Like the house finally knew who wasn't coming home. And me? I didn't block anyone. I didn't post a long explanation. I just removed my name from every deed, account, and emotional hook they'd ever hung on me. One morning, I got a cream-colored envelope in the mail. Inside was a single sheet. My mother's handwriting, careful and slow. I should have protected you too. I saw what you carried and mistook your silence for strength. You were never invisible. I just didn't look. No love. No, please come back. Just recognition, late and raw. I folded it and placed it in the same drawer as the first letter she wrote me years ago, back when she called me the thread that held everything together. Funny how the same hand wrote both. Funny how different they feel. You don't have to burn bridges, but you can stop patching the ones no one else is walking across. Sometimes peace comes not from being seen, but from finally seeing yourself. If you've ever been the one quietly holding the roof up while everyone else played house beneath it, I see you. And it's okay to let go. Drop a 1 in the comments if this story hit somewhere personal. Tell me where you're watching from. Or better yet, tell me what finally made you stop being the one who always fixed things. And if you want more stories like this, real ones, raw ones, where people stop apologizing for waking up, you're welcome to stick around. We've got more coming.